Okay, we're going to start now without the mic.
Okay, yeah.
Project.
And I don't have a loud voice, so I'm going to try very, very hard. But I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of the Wellesley Society of Artists. And before we begin, I'd like to thank the Wellesley Free Library for partnering with us on this program tonight. Our two speakers tonight are Carol Bershad and Nan Rumpf. Carol's artwork has always been informed by her love of the natural world and her training as a biologist in scientific observation. Although Carol began drawing and painting over 20 years ago, her career in the sciences and education superseded her art. After retirement, she had the opportunity to devote time to develop her craft and creative exploration. She has studied watercolor, gouache, Chinese brush painting, and is a board member of the Newton Watercolor Society. Nan Rumpf is a nationally recognized and award-winning water media artist known for her experimental approach as well as her teaching of water media techniques and Chinese ink brush painting. She paints in both representational and abstract ways. She has taught and inspired legions of watercolorists. Nan has been a member of the WSA for over 20 years and is a member of the board as the exhibiting member jury coordinator. Together, Nan and Carol have created Art Sparks, a deck of cards to inspire watercolorists and creatives. Welcome, Nan and Carol.
Thank you. All right, before I get started, Nan made me promise to do the creation story. So I don't know how many of you get stuck and can't paint sometimes. Anybody?
Never.
You look at it and you go, I just can't get started. So usually I pull out one of my many art books and they have stickies hanging out of them, and I'll go to look, and then I'll go down a rabbit hole, and it gets even more overwhelming. So one morning I woke up with the idea of, I wish I had a card deck with ideas that I could shuffle through, pick from, move at random, and I thought, okay, what would be in my card deck? Well, I need to pick a subject, I need a design, I need techniques, and I need how I'm going to use color. So I started brainstorming, and I thought, oh, I need Nan. Nan's the perfect partner for this. So I called her up, I said, here's my idea, what do you think? She said, I'm in. So we brainstormed like over 100 ideas, and we knew that was too many cards because then you start getting overwhelmed again. So we reduced it down, and we looked at art. You know, we wanted to illustrate all the ideas with art. So it's all our own art that's in the deck now. So that's how we got started. Okay.
When did you launch it?
Well, the idea was 2 years ago, but we didn't get the card decks until the middle of September.
Oh, wow.
Because it took a while to develop it, design it, find a printer we could afford, have it shipped over before the tariff. and so it took a while to make this happen. Okay.
ready?
Okay, so Art Sparks is a pack of painting prompts. So it's not an instructional book, although the techniques tell you how to do things. But it's a prompt and an inspiration to get you going. And it is for people who have already done some painting. It's not for rank beginners. So you can use it to get unstuck and start painting again. You can use it to warm up, loosen up before a painting. You can explore new techniques, designs, color palettes, and you could actually plan a whole painting, which we have. You know, you just pick a series of cards, and you could also paint a series on the same subject, because there are a lot of different variations that you could use. And you can also experiment on paintings. I don't know if I have a few paintings laying around that I never finished because I got stuck, didn't like them. So you could use it for that as well. Let's see if this works. Good. So there are 4 decks: subject, design, technique, and color, and you'll have a chance to play with them today. There are 82 of them. There are 21 subject cards, 19 design cards, 23 technique cards, and 18 color cards. Here, a sample of them, so they can easily be put back into order. So here's an example of the subjects. We have everything from an intuitive subject, which is Nan's specialty, you know, to landscapes, seascapes, buildings, portraits, hands, etc. And what I started to do with my iPhone is to actually organize my photos into albums on subjects. So that's something you could do if you want to do that. I have waterfalls and skies and so on. Here's an example of a point of view. Look up, look down. The one on the left, I was just sitting at a light near my house, and don't turn it all off. And then the sky looked great, so I took a picture of it. Here's another one. This is a Nan's specialty, an animal in an unusual occasion or situation. This is her beloved guinea pig, Big Girl, who's no longer with us. And so this is a playful one of putting this animal in an unusual location. So Big Girl is on the back of a semi. I did a dog my friend's dog in a Pringles can. So another interesting subject is hands, drawing hands. And when we did this in class, some of the people, she actually asked all the members of her family to pick a favorite object, including the grandchildren. It was like a teapot or their favorite stuffed animals, and she painted all of them with their hands holding this object. So this is a cocoa pods from Ecuador. Then there are designs. So obviously it's not the whole universe, but we've narrowed the universe down. So it's everything from formats to the shape of the design to how you use the values, dominance, line, lost and found edges, repetition, etc. So here's line. A diagonal design, which gives a lot of energy to a painting. This is a painting I did of Reed State Park up in Maine. And then looking at value dominance. So here's an interesting way of using for design. So Nan had the light value dominance as the top, the medium on the left, and the dark value dominance on the right. So you can play with value dominance. You can also use a grid. And in this one, I use different media, the same subject, sunflower, watercolor and ink, gouache, rice paper, stamping. And then there are 24 techniques that you could use. And obviously there are more than that, but we narrowed it down to play with, to experiment with. One is mixed media, so acrylics, inks, pens, etc. You'll have a chance to play with that tonight. This is a painting Nan did with a variety of different media and abstract. And then looking at edges, creating hard and soft edges, where is your focal point going to be, how you do that. Pouring colors, using a triad and pouring and blowing and moving it around and then carving out with negative painting. These are color cards, so there's everything from mixing colors to color schemes from the color wheel to a mother color to color contrast to temperature dominance. And so here's an example of in watercolor mixing blacks and grays with perylene scarlet, phthalo blue, etc. This is a painting Nan did of an iceberg in Iceland. Beautiful painting. So there are a variety, I think there are 6 color schemes that we have. And in this, we list the different color families that work. And if you use the color wheel and a color scheme like the tetrad or the triad or split, then you have a harmony. And there's an example that Nan did using this rectangular triad. And then there's color intensity. And I love this quote by Matisse: a thimble full of red is redder than a bucketful. So it's being discreet about how you use color. And here it's a beautiful, this is an eye-ring. It's a Galapagos gull, right?
Yep.
Yeah, from the Galapagos. Just a little spot of color, but some color in the vegetation around it. It's very powerful. This is an example of me using it when I couldn't paint. So these are little homemade videos, but you get an idea.
I decided to choose as my subject.
Oops.
For my warm-up, using the amaryllis as a subject, I chose 2 Art Sparks cards. The first I chose at random. This is watercolor and ink. It's a technique card. And the second I chose is a color scheme. It's split complementary because I know that I wanted a green and a red, but I picked something that would be a split complementary. I'll show you on the color wheel. So red and green are complements. I chose sap green, but if you split the complementary, you go either side. It's a small triangle. I wanted to use a variety of reds. So this is red orange and red violet instead of just the plain red. And this is perylene scarlet, permanent alizarin crimson, sap green. So this is also on our card. It's red, violet, red, orange, and green. The example on the card is orange and blue as complements, and then if you split it, it's on either side blue, violet, or blue, green. This is the amaryllis I painted for warm-up, and using the watercolor and ink card, and I used India ink and that bamboo pen. And the card prompted me to think about the quality of my lines, not to just outline the subject, to vary the thickness of the pen point. So that was helpful to think about as I did it. I decided to
This is another example of what Nan did.
I'm going to use the Art Sparks deck, try and plan a painting. So I'm going to pick a card from each category. So pick a subject card, fruits and vegetables, pick a design card. I'm going to do a triangular design. I'm going to pick a technique card. So I will do the prism technique. And my last pick will be the color limited palette. I'm going to use a rectangular tetrad. I'm going to use the one on the card. So a red violet, a red orange, a green, and a blue green. So here are my cards and my colors: green, scarlet, rose, and Windsor blue-green shade. Here's the little splotches of the color so I can see. Here's my still life, triangular design. Here's my drawing in pencil. And here are the random lines, straight lines added, avoiding corners. And here's the finished painting.
Okay, here's another example of taking a painting that has been undone.
I am going to return to an unfinished painting that is probably celebrating its 6th anniversary and being moved around my studio. I'm going to use Art Sparks to get myself going again, to experiment on it and try to finish it. So it's very loose painting. I did move it around to see if I liked it upside down, but what I see is it looks like to me that there's some kind of it looks very watery, that there's like a sea turtle emerging from the right corner. And that's the intuitive subject that I have here. This is the card where you start with a loose wash or whatever you've done, but you don't really have a subject in mind, and then you turn it around, study it, and say, what does it look like? So here's an example. So I've turned it around. I'm thinking maybe there should be a sea turtle. It kind of looks like it in the front, so let me see what I can do. I decided to try out a sea turtle in the right corner, and so I put a piece of Duroir, this is plastic, and then I drew on it. I drew a sea turtle where there was some nice patterning that I could use in my painting. So I looked at a variety of photos of different sea turtles just to get an idea of proportions. I decided to choose the mixed media technique card from Art Sparks to try some other more opaque media like acrylic pens or whatever on to make the turtle. So what I did was I took a charcoal pencil that is soluble, and I drew on the painting, I drew the outline of the turtle. And that white charcoal can be erased or it will dissolve. So once I decided I wanted a turtle in the corner, I knew I had to add color to it, and I picked the glazing card, which was just to make a wash and to paint it over it. But one glaze coat wasn't enough. I kept adding glaze. I used burnt sienna for that. And then I wanted the pattern, and so I used the mixed media card, and I picked some acrylic pens, which are opaque, and I used the brown one to outline the turtle, and then I used the white one to make the patterning. And then I decided that the ocean was too light, so then I did a glaze of turquoise blue, and I had to keep adding more to make the color contrast. It wasn't bright enough. So that's what I did up to that point. But then looking at the whole composition, it just didn't feel right. There's just too much going, there's too much blank over there. I didn't know what else to put it in. So I decided, I picked a design card of trying different formats. And I had like a frame, and I decided, what if I made it a different format? It's kind of like a square format, and I actually like it better. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll probably just
Okay, sorry about that. And this one is, I don't know if some of you might know Linda Renierson. She's a Newton Watercolor Society, and she was in on our early on and giving us ideas, and so we did a series of conversations with her. And so we just thought we'd include one of those.
Carol, one of the biggest things that surprised me is how, this is so substantial.
It's hard to hear, isn't it? I'm sorry.
And these cards, they are very, very nice. The shiny, it has such a good feeling about it. And it looks so compact, and there's so many ideas in here. I mean, this is all you would need if you were going on vacation. You wanted to have ideas, you could just plug this into your suitcase.
She lives in England half a year, so
cards.
she takes it with her.
The quality of the photographs. Very good, well done.
Okay, so besides the cards, in the front of every box is a trifold that lists all the decks, so you can put them back or know that you're missing anything, and some ideas for how to use it. But in addition to that, originally written a booklet, and our focus group said, you know, we're going right to the cards. Put the booklet on the website, and that was a good idea because it saved us money from, you know, designing and producing it. So if you go to our website, www.artsparksdeck.com, and go to our resource page, you can download this PDF of background information for free. You just have to get into our mailing list. So, see if that's it. Yeah, that's it. So now we want you to have a chance to use it, and we have 3 sets of ideas to help you do it. Nan's gonna run this one. This is where you actually pick some cards, make a little painting depending on the cards you pick, and she has a lot of material. She'll explain it in detail. This one is yet another unfinished painting from my collection of unfinished paintings. So this group is going to pick cards and come up with at least 2 ideas for using the cards of what you would do to finish this thing. And I do have a little journal art that you could draw on, or I have some paper you can sketch out some ideas. So that's that group. And there are directions on each table. And then this one is just exploring the deck, finding cards that speak to you in some way or another that you'd like to try, and then we're just going to make a list of the cards that you would like to explore in your own work. So, and before I do that, Nancy, to get you to
All
participate.
participants get an additional raffle chance.
We're bumping the raffle up. So we have 7 stations here. We have enough, I think, for everybody in the room to pick a spot. And then when we're done, you know, we'll give you maybe 20, 25 minutes, whatever, and then we'll report out and say what we thought we'd use. And because you can't get a feel for this unless you play with the cards and look through them. Yes.
So I have a question. I'm not a watercolorist. With the exception of techniques, can these other principles be applied to other?
Yes.
Yes, all of them except some of the techniques.
Even some of the techniques work, like a mother color or, you know, temperature. There are a lot of the things would work for other media.
All right, so do we have some volunteers? There's a table.
There's and when you come, we need participation because and we're going to learn from this. It will help us because we haven't had, you know, a room full of people playing with it and seeing what they, you know, what their questions are, what they would do with it, how, you know. So it's considered a play.
I was gonna say, Carol, how you sell it?
Nan's got some simple, and she's going to explain what to do.
Here's some instructions.
My wife is
Stick it back.
And Nan will explain.
It's been interesting.
So, your job.
Find one that you're interested in, stick it back.
It's been a
Wow!
All right, here's a thought. This group is still working, but we're going to go around and have people report out and then give them more time to paint. And then, even if you're not done, you can show us what you're doing and, you know, what cards you chose. Okay? So, how about we start here? This is the group that was looking through cards and thinking about
Solved all life.
what
Except the task at hand.
Except for what you're supposed to do.
Okay, well, what did you do, Ted? Why don't you tell us the cards you picked and why?
I can be the spokesman.
And we'll chime in.
Well, initially, we honed in on a technique, and then zooming in was the first one, and then the next one we started coming down to was painting without a brush. To which Bob said, "What do you mean painting without a brush?" And Eileen explained, with a toothpick or a finger or a tree, you know, and then saturation and contrast, intuitive, and color mixing greens, and then within that you can say, well, mixing greens, but then we could stick a little red in there and see how it's going to change the green, because they're complements and what it does with it. And then we started talking about painting styles and how we approach our work and what inspires us. And it was actually a fascinating, we did everything in the box, but we also evolved and learned about each other, so this is perfect.
That's great.
It stimulated a lot of.
It did, yeah.
So how do you think you might use the Art Sparks deck in your own work? Or if you've used it already, like I think.
I used it, and it's just so embarrassingly simple. I was kind of stuck after the holidays, and I just picked the first card, which was intuitive. And it says to start with loose wash, random strikes, paint, drips, scribbles, or splash of paint, which is what I did. And just started playing around and just getting the paint water on the paper and just letting it go. It just kind of loosened me up and got me ready, and I've been painting quite a bit ever since. So one card.
Just one card, right, okay.
I think mixing greens, there are so many greens out there, and I'm an oil painter, not a watercolors, but I always tend to gravitate towards my favorite sap green, and then any other variation of sap green. And I think, chatting with Nancy and others, there are so many different ways to achieve a nice green, and that's a real skill when you paint a lot of outdoor stuff. It's just a really important color to have the nuance.
Yeah, and you could pick that card and just start making greens from all your paints.
Absolutely.
See what you want, yeah.
I can see myself using the cards more for the dozens of unfinished rejects and finishing them that way. But I do like the zooming in technique, especially for florals. I find that I love to paint, the inside of the inside of the floral myself. But yeah, I can see. Maybe I should have been at that table. Except I wouldn't have known how to finish your painting. Yeah.
And Nancy, anything else you want to add?
No, but for me, well, these are many of the classes I've taken, and who the teacher is I will not mention. But it's what gets me inspired, and that's why I take my photos. But as we were talking, I mentioned, for me, I'll start on something, and it takes me a while to realize why I want to paint that something, or why that thing inspired me. And it could be a color, it could be a thing, it could be a texture. And for me, these things would be applying to my way of painting, and using it that way. Because if I set out with a specific subject or a specific task, I end up just doing paint blots everywhere, and that's me. So it's adapting it to me, but it's I like it.
No,
It's good
great.
with a glass of wine.
That's
That's right.
Yeah, we should package it with. Thank you. Okay, over here, I have pictures. So would you tell us what you did and what your thinking was, what cards you picked to play with this unfinished painting?
Okay, so we had the one where we started off with this. I chose, landscape, thought my work out for landscape. I chose basically gray dominant. I was thinking black. And then I conveniently picked out watercolor and ink, so I was thinking black on top of the pre-existing colors over there. And fourth one that I forget. Anybody happen to remember? Anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I have a picture with what he did,
So,
what he put over it.
So what I basically had in mind was a city, kind of a cityscape at night. So had kind of a horizon line. I had city skyline going on here, kind of some hills going off this direction, some clouds, and then kind of repeating them in kind of a wavy form down towards the bottom, and then just kind of
All that
black
in
lines.
half an hour?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what he did with it.
It was with the marker super paint, so it was in detail.
Here's what he did.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
Wow.
that's what I did.
Cool. I recommend you.
Um,
So
Anybody done here and want to show us your, or close to that, show us the cards you chose and also what you've done with it?
I think it's as done as it's gonna be.
Okay, show, what
So
cards did you?
this is Lost and Found Edges. This is
Could you hold up the cards too?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Lost and Found Edges.
Uh-huh.
So, intuitive subject. This is an elephant that I recently saw, who was living her best life. So, mixing greens.
Yes.
The yellows, the reds, the blues,
Yeah, she's.
and negative spaces. I wanted to see if I could define the trunk by the vegetation behind it.
And you did that tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
She's amazing.
Good for you.
From your head.
Yeah, because she's been in my mind. She was a rescue elephant, and I can't stop thinking about her. She was, as we heard this crashing and booming, and it was, she had been in labor for, so she'd been used to haul lumber and all this stuff. So she's now free, living in this, and she was joyously tearing down all of this bamboo and chomping away.
Where were you?
Where was it?
Kind of,
Thailand.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, somebody else.
Okay, I guess.
Show us the cards and then what you've done. Sorry.
Let's see. I started with landscape, because I don't do landscape, so I thought I'd try landscape. I wanted to simplify shapes, because that's one of the problems with landscapes that I have, is going into too much detail. Mix and mingle colors on the paper, because I think watercolor is lovely that way when you can just let it flow, and mixing greens. So I chose those cards, and then I found a photo of Iceland. Yeah, which I like to go to
Could you
someday.
hold up your paint?
And then this is the paint.
Really nice.
What do you usually paint?
I usually paint animals, still lifes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, so.
Hey, there you go. Okay, somebody else. Show us your cards and your
I can go.
Okay.
I saw drapery, but I didn't think I'd have any inspiration for drapery and couldn't make it up. But then when I saw this, I put my card back and did drapery. And I was trying to do, I like bright colors, so I just said using wild colors. Mix and mingle colors on the paper, which I was trying to do, and then value dominance, it's primarily dark. Doesn't look like what it's supposed to be, but it was fun.
Doesn't have to look like anything.
No, I can't, because it's really, so
Sorry,
sorry about
run.
yeah.
But the colors are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, somebody else, even if you're not done, where are you headed?
The barnyards, my husband called it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all looking at you.
Dottie.
No pressure.
No pressure, but just show us the
Okay.
cards you picked and what you're playing
Well,
with.
these are the cards. Okay, so using complementary colors. The one that I really like is geometric and organic. So find something that's geometric, make it organic, and vice versa. Right? So then I chose the seascape, and that's my photo. And to do the composition would be an L design. And then I just went here.
The orange is gorgeous.
There you
Keep
go.
going.
So can you
Yeah,
see it's
keep going.
linear?
Yeah.
Yes, and this is, I'm not sure what this is. I had like pottery in my mind. I was in like Mid-Eastern country or something. There you go.
Great, thank you. Awesome.
I had curvilinear and geometric shapes, and I had glance
and I'm not finished, but using wild colors, that would be a challenge for me, and to draw with a brush. And I went over to the reference photos and found this wonderful picture of berries in the snow. And I began by
Using wild colors.
using wild colors, the colors that weren't there. And this is enough of a start to inspire me, and then I'll go in and put in really wild colors. But you can see it's geometric shapes, and it's a vegetable or, plant. And curvilinear, I was going for the curvilinear shapes, not that it looked like the plant, but that it was a series of curvilinear shapes.
Great.
Yes.
Very interesting. Thank you, yeah. See how different it is? It's amazing. Okay, Sheila, are you?
Oh, I'm not even, I'm.
Well, just
I
explain
need
what
to
you're
put a
going to
little
do.
color.
Okay,
I
go
can
ahead.
I can tell you the.
Tell you where you're heading.
Okay. I wanted to try just using analogous colors. So I was going to use, I've only started, I was going to use orange, red, orange, and red violet. So those were my color tones. And my design was diagonal. And my pattern was drapery. And did I get a second one of these? Okay. And I was going to expose soft and hard edges. But I'm really at the beginning because I wanted to get my pattern to move diagonally across the paper, so with a lot of movement. So I
You
can
did a nice drawing, yeah.
But I was obsessing over doing that before I got to the paper.
That's okay. I mean, everybody's process is different.
Yeah.
And this is a very short amount of time. So it's just to get you going, and it obviously got you going, and you have a direction,
And I'm a little OCD, so I could have.
Well, you know what, you could take a picture of that.
Yeah,
We should take a picture of the picture, and then,
keep these.
yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great.
want to see the finished
Okay.
product.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a great idea. I do have a question. In picking out cards, did anyone feel like they really wanted to take 2 reds or 2?
You can. There are no rules. You can take more than one.
Now she tells you.
Okay.
We're rule breakers ourselves. So.
That's great. That's good.
No, and in
I
fact,
wouldn't have told you if I took 2.
You would have seen it.
yeah, no, you can take more. It's whatever works for you.